So that stuff from the past, it just will not leave you alone. We have some past life cycles that are coming back up again to be looked at and inspected, but it doesn't mean what you probably think that it means. So this isn't meaning that this is showing how unhealed you are. In fact, it means quite the opposite. It's giving you the chance to see just how far you've come. So the repeat of lessons, it isn't coming back to the same version of you. It's coming back to a more grown, expanded, and ascended version of you who can show up to it differently than when the lesson first showed up to you. And so most of these lessons came from way, way, way back in your early childhood before you even had vocabulary to even know what to do with it. A lot of these things were stored way deep into your body. And I mean, they weren't stored as like actual thoughts. They were just like, you didn't have the words, you just had feelings. And so wherever you felt that in your body, it just got trapped in those spaces. And so it started creating like little fragments of yourself, to where you just started blocking yourself off until it was like nobody could get in at all. And so when we start the healing process, we start knocking away, from these walls that we have been putting up, that have armored us off from the original trauma that started, all of that. And so that's where, like, every lesson, when it comes around, it's giving you a chance to knock off another piece. And, we just got out of the Spiritual View Live, and one of the things that kept coming out from it was this lotus flower. And it was just you just kind of continue to take it layer by layer as it continues to expand. It doesn't happen overnight. This level of healing does not happen overnight. And so just because you didn't get it right the first time, and just because it took you, lesson after lesson after lesson, doesn't mean that you were doing anything wrong. Every single time you were learning from it and growing from it, and that is all that was expected of you. And so if another lesson is showing up in your life again, all you're meant to do is take everything that you have learned to this point and integrate it. Choose something different, because every time you show up to that same lesson and you choose something different, now you're changing the timeline so that you can get to a higher level timeline, so you don't have to keep repeating that same lesson. So I had a whole lot just come out just before I could even tell you who I am. So if you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm Jennifer Halliburton with the Awakened Jen Tarot, and I do channeled messages, and I also pull cards. So it's kind of a combo that's happening here. And so I did pull some cards already about this past life karma that just kind of keeps coming up, because I know so many people are being triggered, and I just wanted to kind of give some help for all of those people who are feeling the same energy that I've been feeling, because it's something I'm dealing with too. It's not something that, just because you are ascended, that you are sheltered from. You are always growing and expanding. There's not like a level where you stop on this. And so we all are getting, kind of pressed on. And so that's why I said in one of my readings not too long ago, is that if we at this level are feeling it to this level, can you imagine those people who are still asleep? So you've got to have a lot of grace right now, because we are leading the way. We are showing them how we can hold our own when these energies hit in so hard on us. Okay, so I would like to go ahead and call in the spirit team, although I feel like they are here. All right, so close your eyes and breathe in. That's 1. Breathe in. That's 2. Breathe in. That's 3. I now call in my angels, archangels, ascended masters, my higher self, and guardian angels to please enter this present space and time. I call upon Archangel Michael to place a bubble of protection around us. Only beings of the highest vibration of pure love and light may enter in. So be it. All right, so let's get into this. So I've got a spread. Let me get it up. Okay. So the first card that we're looking at is, what is the pattern that is our shadow is trying to show us? And so what old cycle is resurfacing and why is it coming up? And we have shallow, hollow, empty, and boredom. And so I think that we have gotten to this place where we realize that there is so much more for us in life than what we have gotten to this point. And so especially if you've gone cycle after cycle after cycle, like you have dealt with this issue, you definitely have learned the lesson. You don't need to keep repeating the lesson. And so like, you know that there's more for you. So what's on the other side of this lesson? Once I finally say I've learned it, what comes after that? You know there's so much more. So that's what makes it so important that you work your way through this and you don't just keep choosing to keep repeating the pattern. Let's face it, let's look at it, and let's finally overcome it once and for all. All right, so the growth checkpoint is, how have we evolved since the last time we faced this problem? Well, let me tell you, we have learned to place some good boundaries. And so it says no, drawing the line, and enough. So boundaries come in. It's not that we're telling people like, this is not the walls, because okay, where I started the whole message off with the walls, good boundaries still allow the space that show people, here's how you can connect with me. And then when it becomes overwhelming, you can like, okay, let's hold up, let's get recentered, let's make sure that everybody here feels safe before we continue to move forward, and then we can open up again. So I mean, you've really started learning how to set good boundaries and how to start taking care of yourself. And so I mean, that's huge growth. That is huge growth to just recognize, and boundaries are even not just like what you won't allow other people to do to you. This is also my boundary of what I will allow myself to do to another person. Because I mean, a lot of times we can get into these situations where it's like we feel justified for our bad behavior. And when we get to that point, we need to be looking at ourselves really hard to say, like, we need boundaries around us too. Because like, even if somebody treats you incorrectly, it doesn't mean that gives you the go ahead, it doesn't mean that you should hurt them either. Like, there's a word that I'm losing here, but it doesn't give you permission. Thank you. Thank you. It doesn't give you the permission. Okay. So we have to have boundaries with ourselves and with others so that we are protecting everyone's hearts in this. We've got to keep, the greatest good of all. And so, I mean, that's a really heart-centered life right there, is when it's not just, we're just looking out for ourselves, but we are also looking out for that other person's heart as well. So when you're realizing, oh my goodness, like my behaviors are showing up in a way that I do not want for me to be known for personally, you need to put some boundaries around yourself and just that's where you're going to start inspecting. Why am I acting this way? What has separated me from love to where I don't see that this person still deserves, a level of human respect? That's where, that's what we've learned. We've learned how to put the boundaries out between ourselves and others. Okay, so the temptation. So what energy is still trying to pull us back into our old ways? And so there is the obscurity. We don't know where we're going. We've never done this before. And so just not knowing that this really, like, if I take this action right here, it feels very risky to do this. It could have a ripple effect that I have no idea where it lands. There's a lot of unknown. So that's the thing that, like, it makes us uncomfortable. Just not knowing where this ends, how it ends. It's just trying to control the outcome. But that's the thing that kind of keeps pulling us back into those old habits, is because it's so uncomfortable to do that different thing just because we don't actually feel like we know. I don't think that's truth. I think we do know what happens. Okay. So the next the next question is, what lesson are we anchoring in? So what truth or wisdom do we need to hold on to? And so we have karma. So there is consequences for our actions. So, we did have this little bit of a fear about like the unknown, like what happens if I do this, but if you're coming from the place of love, like your actual motivation is just from love and unity, like whatever you are doing, it is like, I just want to bring healing. And so like, if you are trying to choose to end a relationship because you know that like, I cannot show up for you the way that I know that I need to, that's coming from a place of love. But you've got to make sure you communicate it in a place of love so that it can still be received in a place of love. But I mean, if it's literally like you just realize I can't, because like where I'm at right here, I'm not able to be what I know that you deserve as a valid human being. So don't hold back, just whatever is love. And so like if there's somebody too that you feel like you need to express love to, I mean, maybe that like you didn't value them as much as what you know that you should have. Just don't hold back the love. That's the piece that we need to start allowing to just flow how it needs to flow. Because if you literally are coming from a place of love, it's going to show up in love. It's going to have that softness to it so that it is received in love. So, I mean, like, again, it's like there are even hard truths that can be told, but they need to be based in this love. But the lesson we're anchoring, though, is that there are balances. Our actions do have consequences. And so what are the consequences that are coming out? I think that that's what we're literally dealing with right now. I think that all of the triggers, that are coming out, that's all the consequences of not having dealt with all of the stuff before. Like we've just piled it up, and now then here it is. And I mean, it's just like it just created a actual block, an energetic block, a spiritual block, a physical block. I'm sure that like right now, because there are just so many pauses where everybody's just being asked to just kind of evaluate, what what they've contributed, So that's really, everybody had a part to play. So there's no need for like the finger pointing either in this. Okay. So where are we at next? The path of mastery. So how can we pass this test and prove our dedication? So we have to take off our mask. We got to get serious about this. So like we have had the walls up. We have had, armor. And so we finally, before we even know like what's possible, we have to get real about who we even are. We built that whole identity that's been just being taken off layer by layer by layer as a protection, because we didn't want people to see who we really were behind that mask. Why? Because at some point way back in our early part of our childhood, somebody saw it and they told us it wasn't beautiful. And so we just started hiding the parts of ourselves that, different people, different voices in our lives started representing and saying that they weren't good enough and they weren't beautiful enough and they just weren't worthy enough, to exist, to just be. And that's what's shifting right now. The path of mastery is where you just allow it all to just be. You look at the person in front of you and you know that they have just as much ugly as you do, and that you have just as much light as they do. That's the reflections that we are in each other. And, that's what we need to know about, that whole, even the divine connections. It says that's what you're seeing in each other. Anything you deny in that other person, you still had it in you. And anything you admire in the other person is also what is possible in you. You're seeing you, and no matter how you want to look at it, you're seeing you. And so go ahead and fall in love. Allow yourself to fall in love with all the parts that you're seeing, so you don't have to continue to reject yourself and run from yourself. This is how you find unity. You just accept yourself. Like, I've got the flaws. I'm not going to hold myself back. But you know that you also have the light and the beauty too. And so the higher perspective is, what is the divine reason for this repetition? And it is so that you can see your beauty, so that you can appreciate all parts of yourself, the light and the dark, all of it. You needed all of it so that you could appreciate how far you've come, what you've been through. And this is the story of who you are and what it took to get you here. And it's beautiful because it's yours. All right, so the liberation key is, what advice will break the cycle and move us forward? And so it's finally time to heal. It's time to release anything from the past, all of the anger, the resentment. This is an emotional release. I feel like that the heart has been activated so hard for so many people. And so there is just an upheaval. Let's get it out. Let's just get it out. We don't have to carry this stuff anymore. That's going to open up our heart so that we have room now to allow love, real love, the reflections of all the things that we want to see in this world, for that to start filling in those spaces. All right, so I've got one final message from Spirit that I pulled from the Work Your Light Oracle. And we have, trust your path. If you knew that you would be supported, what would you do? So this is the ultimate test of trust. This is what you said you wanted. You wanted this level of ascension, that you get into this divine connection with the ultimate partnership. So how bad do you want it? And how much do you trust that you can actually get it? So the universe is conspiring. Keep facing your true north. Your job is not to pave the path, but to simply keep facing your true north and take one step after another. If you do this, you can't go wrong. The universe is conspiring. Don't waver or doubt. Use your heart as a compass and put one foot in front of the other. If you follow the invisible trail of what lights you up, you will light up the world without even trying. Most people don't follow the highest call of their soul because they are waiting to see the end destination before they take the first step. If you take one baby step each day, within a year, you will have taken 365 steps in your dedicated direction. If you want to write a book, write a page every day. If you want to change careers, do one thing every day in dedication to that. Before you know it, in just a year from now, you will turn back and look in awe at how far you have journeyed. Keep moving and open yourself up to a whole new level of support and receiving. Things are not just going to work out the way that you are planning, but if you have a little faith and keep showing up, they will work out even better than you could possibly imagine. Don't micromanage the universe. Trust your path and let your soul lead the way. So if you knew that you were supported no matter what would you do? And so I think that that's really what we're supposed to be looking at as all of this stuff starts coming up. That's the main lesson, is how much do you trust? How much do you trust? I think that I'm being told, do not talk more than that, because it's that's the message. How much do you trust? This is what you said you wanted. This is what it takes to get there. How much do you trust? All right, so I'm going to close it out there because I really am feeling like, woo. Okay. So thank you so much. If this has resonated with you, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to this channel. You can hit the bell for notifications and it will let you know every time a new video goes out. And I do offer private readings. You can find information about that in the description box or in the bio. You can find it somewhere. Other than that, I will see you next time.